speech that we could take away? She was very clear about emotion. Came out properly that emotion drives connection, which is in line with our thing. We're in an emotional age where brands need to ride on emotions to win in a competitive market. And the other was about consistency. You must be deliberate and consistent in everything that you do, just like described in a hard journey. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Super, super, super round of applause. And guys, I hope you're picking up lessons because each of these speakers has a unique journey. And this journey is the one to emulate from, one to learn from, and one to see how we can position our brands as well to reach close to their levels, or even beyond. Yeah? All right. So without further ado, I would like to invite our next speaker. Our next speaker, very exciting to have her, Laura Muhumuza, the country manager, Buzz Activate. Buzz Activate, if you're not clapping. So Laura has been in the marketing industry for over a decade, mainly in experiential marketing, client relations, and events marketing. She's built her career on creating and impactful brands and experiences that drive engagement and business growth. Let's give us a round of applause to Laura as she comes to share her speech.
You gonna my one side, you make me give number. Me no be no campus. She give me eye.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I didn't hear you, the guys at the back. Good afternoon, everybody. Great, I see you, John Paul. So my name is Laura Mhumza, that girl right there. I am the country manager of Buzz Activate Uganda. I have been at Buzz for 10 years now, fresh out of campus where I studied marketing. When I left campus and I joined Buzz, I thought, you know what? events. Some people may be, you know, they may prefer live music, other people prefer more intimate settings, others, the Gen Zs with their piano vibes. Different customers, different people. And if you do not understand the customer, you cannot come through with a strategy that will really, really inform and help the brands meaningfully connect with their consumer. So the goal for experiential is not just to be seen, but to be felt, remembered, and talked about. That is where the power of connection actually is. And while we move on and what we're doing, we need to be designing for all the senses. Human beings, you need to think about the person and what it is that moves them. If we're designing, we need to design for look. Do we have strong visuals? Do we have branding that is strategic and that will make an impact? For feel, do we have, what does the ambience look like? What is that consumer going to actually walk away with and how they actually felt your brand connected with them? For sound, what is the music? Are we taking them on a journey with us? For smell or taste for that matter, what are they smelling? What is that immersive sensory add-on that is relevant? Naturally, it has to be relevant depending on the brand that it is that you're speaking about. So it is very important for us to design for all these senses. And on top of that, we also need to design for the different connection points for our consumers. If it is physical, where are actually people experiencing the brands in real life? Are they events? Are they activations? Are they in store? Are they, going to festivals or pop-ups? That needs to be always considered. We also need to consider that emotional connection because brands that connect emotionally with consumers definitely are brands that are loved. So where the brand resonates on a deeper level with a person in storytelling that feels very personal, shared values and causes as well, nostalgia, humor, or pride, social connections as well are very important. Um, Peer-to-peer sharing, influencer participation, and so on. We just have to make sure that we are putting all these things in consideration and ensuring that the brands that we are representing actually speak to these different facets of marketing. So, in experiential, however, measurement also goes beyond counting heads and saying, oh yeah, the event was full. These days, event promoters are very fast to say, oh yeah, the event was sold out. We had 6K people, but so what? So what, 6,000 people came to your event? You know, we need to ask what changed for the brand because those 6,000 people actually came through to the event. We have to also measure engagement. How many people came through? What was the dwell time? What was the content interaction or the trials that were initiated? We need the emotional connection as well. Brand recall, ensuring the shareability of all the content, sentiment, and willingness to actually recommend. Once you have those in lock, that is how maybe you're going to measure your success beyond, yeah, 1 million people came through to the event. It has to actually be measurable. But of course, it also has to have business impacts. Did we uplift the sales or traffic? What was the cost per engagement? Did we have repeat visitations for the different engagements that we've had? So it is always important that we actually connect on that level or measure some of those things. However, outside measuring that, behavioral insights are also very, very important in guiding how we then come through and speak to people and give that insight to our brands to know on a deeper level what the consumer is saying. Did people stay longer than they expected? Did they bring others? In case, did they share it on their own? Many times we are in a space where we are spending so much money on influencers and forcing content, but user-generated content will definitely take a lead, or you will see someone has built the brand. You don't even have to force them to post. They will want to post the moment because they are in there with us. We resonate to them. So experiential shouldn't be standalone moments. It should spark a momentum with real shifts in perception, in behavior, and in affinity that lasts way longer than the lights go down or when we have now moved on. That needs to always be felt and remembered. So we should always think about what we want to do. And for me, I feel like this connection. Don't just show up. Don't just create a space where people just come through and quote unquote just vibe without understanding really what it is or the message or the objective that you're trying to push. Because when brands actually do take the time to understand their customers, to connect on a human level, in moments that matter, that is when actually you have affinity, you build a lot of loyalty, and of course advocacy as well. So we need to keep asking ourselves, how do we connect? How do we matter? Whether we are crafting digital journeys, media presence, products, innovations, or on ground activations as well, we need to keep asking ourselves, how do we connect and how do we make sure that we actually matter? Because honestly, people may forget what you said, but they will definitely never forget how you made them feel. And that is how really through experiential beloved brands are built. So before I conclude, I just wanted us to do just one small exercise together. I want to request all of you to stand up, please.
Let's stand.
DJ, I think guys need some energy in here. So some tunes as they stand up. Yeah? Okay, so we're going to do just one simple exercise. I wanted everyone to my right. We're just going to just clap once. There's a huge lesson in here. You'll just clap once, but because I want it in unison, it will be 1, 2, 3, clap. Yeah? So the people to my right, can we do that? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now the ones to my left, I don't think we need to repeat the instructions. Do we get it? We are ready? Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Great. Now I want us to do it all together. So on 3, all of us. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure in case I wrapped my presentation, there is footage somewhere of you guys standing up and clapping for me. Thank you so much for listening.
It's interesting. Another applause for Flora. Out of all she has said, we have ended up clapping for her, whether we liked it or not. But it's interesting. Amazing presentation by Laura, and I followed through. You know, she was speaking more than what was written. So all her content was in her mind, but her presentations were just oozing out a message in loudness, boldness. Milton, you're with me?
Yes, we're together.
Let's get a takeaway. What are the takeaways from? One key takeaway from
Laura was clear on the fact that experiential is where the rubber meets the road.
Oh my.
That it's important for us to understand our consumers. And again, measurement and evaluation is key. It's not about the numbers of those who have attended your event, but was their impact. You need to dig deeper and analyze. Find out whether you're delivering ROI or you're achieving on the objectives of every activity. Thank you, Laura.
Interesting. It's interesting how Milton turns the whole brand, the whole speech into highly academic and content-wise meant attached to the theme. That's some amazing content right there. And we have the opportunity to win something at the end of there's a gifting time on our schedule. Eh? There's something we're going to be awarding. 2 things. The person who tweets the most, our hashtag is hashtag Datamine Summit. Hashtag Datamine Summit. Guys, we have marketers in the room. We have to trend today. Tweet about what has been outstanding about what each speaker has been saying. And we're going to be recording and getting to identify the person with the most tweets. There's an award for you at the end of the session. Yeah? So with that, I would like us, and if you have an activity, if you want to get into a work mode and you want to catch up with an email, we have an exclusive VIP setup right at the top. There's a lounge for you in case you want to work or get some emails out of the way. Internet connectivity is also there, and some charging points in case you want to get some work out of the way. But while we are at it, let's tweet as much as possible. We need to make sure we get that going. Zeus has also set up something amazing at the back. 3 things you get to do. If you don't have an updated LinkedIn profile pic, go and have it for free. If you want to market your business, have a 5-second high-impact marketing video, they got you at the back. So please, don't hesitate to visit the Zeus tent. And at this point, I'll allow us to have some sponsors. They're the reasons why we're here. Let's have some sponsor videos going as we tweet, because we're taking notes of those tweets. So let's have the media team have the sponsors ads go through that video as we tweet what we have learned in the past speakers and wait for the next. Thank you. Vision Fund is one of the biggest microfinance institutions in Uganda. Their goal is to ensure that they reach the lowest end farmer accelerating savings groups. The last mile basically, by giving them financial support. Next, Uganda breweries. We all know them.
Again.
Uganda breweries in the house. Enjoyment. Noted. Thank you, Uganda Brewers, for sponsoring. We actually have a whole setup, a networking setup that's going to be covered entirely by Uganda Breweries right after the formal event. Buzz in the house. Anything experimental marketing. Thanks for sponsoring. Look at those setups. Buzz Group. Nation Media Group. Is Nation Media in the house? Hey, we have to hear something. Nation Media covering all across the board.
No, take up with your party, take up with sweet meditation. Hear me, she daga. Onazo kwano muti, wakugo kusinga bana. Nsomo se mikami, manonya masile baseidi. Hakuna dawa, baby you're the only one dawa. Hakuna dawa, utaiyo moyo kunuma. Hakuna dawa, baby you're the only one dawa. Hakuna dawa, utaiyo moyo kunuma.
We move from print media to digital media. The brand transition is on. What the customers need, yeah?
Shake before using it, shake before using it. Onazo kwano muti, wakugo kusinga bana. Nsomo se mikami, manonya masile baseidi. Hakuna dawa, baby you're the only one dawa. Hakuna dawa, utaiyo moyo kunuma. Hakuna dawa, baby you're the only one dawa. Hakuna dawa, utaiyo moyo kunuma.
Starbucks International. There is no rural town that doesn't have a Starbucks. The Starbucks in the house.
Up and down, over,
Starbucks gas, Starbucks lubricants across the country. Very well distributed across the country. Starbucks International. Well done, Starbucks. Zeus Group. Is Zeus in the house? Don't forget, Zeus is at the back. You want your LinkedIn profile picture updated, 5-second video clip for your business. I got you covered. Actually took mine.
Even have a mic on our table. That's crazy. Hey, Prudence, thanks guys for being
If you want marketing and advertising
What
insights,
have we missed?
you've done quite a lot of work.
Oh, I wanted to see that part. Oh, this is nice. What is it? Oh, I want one.
I'm all over you, body, all over you. So don't rush, all over you, body, all over you. So baby, don't rush, I'm all over you, body, all over you. So baby, don't rush, all over you, body, all over you. You want me, Mr. Lover, man, and Mr. Lover, man, Mr. Lover, man, want me, Mr. Lover, man, Mr. Lover, man, Mr. Lover, man. It's your game, it's your game, it's your game.
Very creative.
It's your love, it's your love, it's your love. It's your game, it's your game, it's your game. Sorry, baby, don't rush. I'm all over you, body, all over you. So don't rush. All over you, body, all over you. Sorry, baby, don't rush. I'm all over you, body, all over you. Sorry, baby, don't rush. All over you, body, all over you.
Excuse me. You're the one putting the ads on the screen. I guess they're the full agency.
Yes. Thank you, DJ. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're welcome to this Datamine Summit. We're going to have a very wonderful program. Next, we'll have some two speakers and then a panel session, which is going to be volcanic. We'll have Juliana Kagwa, we'll have Catherine Dungu, we'll have Daniel Kayongo, we'll have Romel Chassi, Charity Kamsime. They are all here with us. At this time, I would like to welcome our next speaker. In a region where many agencies chase trends, he has built those group on something more durable, culture side, emotional relevance, fearless creative execution. As a CEO and creative director, he has laid Zeus to deliver some of the region's most resonant campaigns, and under his leadership, Zeus Group has earned an award, Agents of the Year Award, during the Uganda Marketing Excellence Awards. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a testament to the impact that he has created across industries and audiences in Africa. Let's put our hands together and welcome Jeffrey Amani. You're welcome.
Absolutely, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, Datamine. I'm humbled to be in the room with such great minds. I think this is my first time in Uganda to sort of sit in one room with so many of my current clients and potentially my future clients. And I was just telling someone back there that I'm hungry for business. I'm hungry for work. And I'm coming in hot, I'm coming in aggressive. We have a mantra this year, which is take everything and leave nothing on the table. And we're living it. So my name is Jeffrey Amani. I'm Kenyan, been here heading into my 13 years. I'm the CEO founder at Zeus Group, and I'm also the executive creative director at Zeus. And today I'm here to talk to you about how creative agencies actually in building sort of intimacy or building brand intimacy. I'm going to just walk you through a very short presentation on how we, once you've given us the brief, once we've gotten the brief from you, the process we go through to make sure that whatever work we put out, whatever output we then give you is able to actually help you or help your brand build that intimacy. So yeah, without further ado, let's proceed. So I'll start with a question. And this question is, anyone who gets it right, there's a special package we'll give you. You're going to get full photo shoot. You can come, so the professional one, of course, you can do here, but you can come later on in the studio and take as many photos as you want for your LinkedIn and whatever else you want. So I'm going to ask this question. Yeah? What truly makes a brand loved? Anyone? Just quick guesses. What truly makes a brand loved? Anyone? Guys, it's not a trick question. The answer, you have the answers. I can guarantee you that. Some of the speakers who came before me gave. Everyone has, yeah.
I think it's meaningfulness to the consumers.
There's a hand at the back. I'll just take two and then that's it.
Meet and exceed the customer's needs.
Awesome. So those answers are correct, but again, I'm going to try and debunk that a bit. Oh, there's one more. Okay.
The experience that the consumers get when they interact with the brand.
Awesome. All those answers are correct. But I want to say this, and it's going to sound a bit controversial. It's not the logos, it's not the big budgets, it's not, sort of how well your product is. It doesn't matter the discounts you give and all that. That's not what builds brand intimacy. That's not what builds brand intimacy. It's far much more than that. It's personal. It's how people feel. It's how your brand makes people feel about themselves. It's how you represent these people. That's what builds brand intimacy. Yeah? Next slide. So, it's the moment a brand makes you feel seen and heard. And most of the time we get it wrong as marketers and creatives and people in marketing, where we're almost just speaking to ourselves and we ignore the audiences that we're speaking to. We don't include them in the conversations that we're putting out there. Next slide. The moment a brand taps into something personal, something raw, something real. Those of you who know marketing know exactly what this is. This is the true consumer insight, the human insight. The moment you tap into that, and that's what happens to the briefs that you send to us. The moment we get the brief, our first job is to immerse ourselves behind that brief and try to understand who the target consumer is. And we go beyond the demographic and so the psychographics of these audiences. We go in and the quest we are on is to try and understand what makes these consumers tick. What are the things that they are passionate about? What are the things that move them? What are they really interested in? What angers them? What makes them cry? And then we use that insight creatively to sort of build the communication or answer the brief that you've given us. So there are brands out here that have done a really good job at it and they've actually succeeded. They've tapped into the real insight, the motivation behind their audiences, what their audiences actually are passionate about. Let's look at brands, and you guys all of you know about it. Look at brands like Nike. Nike, what does Nike sell? What does Nike speak to? Nike speaks to your motivation. It speaks to your aspirations. Nike sees everyone as an athlete. They don't discriminate. They speak to the athlete in you. They sell shoes, but that would have been sort of like the lazy route for them to just talk about their shoes and talk about their product and ignore the consumer. So what they've done is they've gone beyond just the psychographics and demographics of the consumer. Now they're talking about the inspiration, the aspirations of this consumer and stuff, and they're speaking to what really the consumer is concerned about. So we're going to look at an ad. There's an example here of an ad. I don't know if the sound will play. So this commercial was put together around the time COVID had hit the entire world. And there's an insight here. I don't know if the sound will play. We need the sound because you need to hear the words. So what had happened during COVID is everyone was feeling stuck. We were all stuck in our houses, in our rooms, in our living rooms, in our bedrooms. We were uncertain about tomorrow. We didn't know what was going to happen. I remember that's about around the same time I had started Zeus. I didn't know about the next day. I didn't know about the next month. I didn't know if this dream that I had started was going to pan out, whether I would actually get to run an agency. There was uncertainty. But Nike took advantage of that. They went in and interrogated what are people really concerned about? What are the fears they have? And they put together this amazing advert. The sound is not playing, but I'll try and just wrap it what it basically says. So they had this split screen that was showing the before and after, like what was happening before, when everyone was outside and they had all these sort of interactions and performances, games and all that, and then COVID hit. The stadiums were shut, all these auditoriums were shut, and they tapped into an insight, which is the human resilience, the ingenuity of humans. Whatever situation you throw at humans, they take it, they turn around, and they thrive. And that's what this advert is saying. People found ingenious ways of coping with the situation. They found ingenious ways of normalizing the situation that was very abnormal for them. No one was used to just being in the house, not interacting physically with their friends or going to places that they love. But people found little games they played with their kids, ways to exercise, ways to learn, ways to teach, ways to even have meetings. And thank God for COVID. Some of these companies now are raking in millions because of, these virtual meeting rooms and all that. So there are three simple steps that we usually take when you give us a brief and we look at. And these steps, I've summarized them here. One is we uncover what people truly feel. That's the first step, and that's the part where we interrogate the brief. We go in and we dissect our audiences, and we go in. Sometimes it requires us, for example, to go out in the field and actually talk to real humans and get their sentiment and understand reflect their world. Whatever ideas we come up with, it has to be realistic. It has to reflect the reality. Them exactly what they are going. It cannot be alienated. I've seen adverts. You have, an advert that's shot, for example, in South Africa, and then it's brought to the agency, and the agency is told, just dub over a Luganda script on it. And you look at the models, they look Zulu. The cast, they look different. They, even the lips are not syncing with the words that are being said. Immediately, what do consumers do? They're like, couldn't you find a Uganda? And they shut you up because they can't relate with the representation they're seeing. They cannot relate with that. The other last thing we do is we move them with a story. So we package the insight and the reality of the universe into a story. There has to be a great story, and that story is delivered through TV commercials, powerful visuals, a jingle, an experiential idea and execution. We package that through storytelling, dramatize those truths through emotionally intelligent storytelling. So we've all seen ads that the CFO was being generous and released the budgets. And these ads end up failing. We've seen some of them. I have an example here. Yeah, the spoiler is you can't go into consumers' hearts. You can't. You can't swindle by spend millions. You can even bring and all that, do a very amazing commercial. But if you haven't tapped into the true insight, if you're not representing that audience, if they can't see themselves in the message that you're trying to put out, if they feel you're talking down on them, it won't connect. That intimacy is lost. So, how many of you remember this advert back in 2017? Yeah, it's a Pepsi advert. Kendall Jenner did this advert where she was in this protest movement and she was passing a Pepsi can to a riot police. You can imagine how much she charged, yeah? So they spent 50 million US dollars on this commercial and on media promoting it. But immediately, next slide, immediately there was backlash. Why? That's what I was saying. Look at some of these captions. Someone here says, and to think all Rodney King needed to avoid the beating was a Pepsi. You know the story of Rodney King, yeah? Someone else says, thank you to my heroes. for ending homophobia and Kendall Jenner for ending police brutality. These are real people speaking. These are real consumers upset, and they were passing a message. Like Kendall Jenner, will you take Pepsi to North Korea? Kim Jong-un really needs to cool his jets. Real consumers reacting to an advert that was tone deaf. Tone deaf. And these guys were accused of sort of, lacking understanding about the protest context. They didn't understand what was going on. Remember, around this time also is when movements like Black Lives Matter was coming up. That's around the same time. So those agitations, someone else said, this is what happens when you don't have a black person in the boardroom when they're approving the script. Why? Because at the time, if Pepsi cared to read the room, it was the wrong time to do this advert. The script is amazing. Sharing a Pepsi is probably a really good idea. And bringing in a big name like Kendall Jenner as an influencer, as a brand face, it's a brain for any marketer. You are going to get numbers, you're going to get a lot of attention, but you have to align the idea to the inside. You have to make sure that you have your finger on the pulse, understand what's going on, you understand what the consumers are going on, you understand the pressures that are going on. And that's our job as an agency also. We advise you on that. We go in and look at, we'll come back to you and tell you, we don't think this is the right time to run this type of a commercial or type of a message. And you need to listen sometimes. And I know sometimes, there's pressure from above and stuff, but that's our job. That's like, so people don't just buy brands, they connect with how brands make them feel. So, how do you nurture intimacy? How does an agency actually help you nurture intimacy? Do three things. Yeah? So the step to achieving, sort of brand intimacy. So the first thing that you need to do is feel what the audiences feel. Stop assuming and start listening. A lot of the time, agencies get lazy, clients get lazy, and we make a lot of assumptions. And now we're living in an age where that laziness is accelerated. There's ChatGPT, there's all this AI. I don't need to go out and speak to real humans. I can just on my computer type a command, and I get AI gives me all the answers. There's information. Some of that information is accurate, but we need to interrogate it further. The way you do it is connection. Go out, connect with real human beings. Get the feedback. Start listening. Pay attention to your audience. What makes them laugh? What makes them cry? What makes them tick? What best represents who they are? I can't do an advert, and I have someone dressed with a bracelet, a Kenyan bracelet. I'm Kenyan, and I'm flighting it in Uganda. That's misrepresentation. I have to represent the culture, the people. They want to see one of them. They want to see themselves in the brands. The second thing to do, next slide, is culture, humor, pain, pride. These are levers to building intimacy. These are the things you need to focus on. Culture, borrow from culture. We do that a lot. Look at localization. We are localizing campaigns. We look at what is normal practice in culture. What are Ugandans' culture sort of nuances like? And then we borrow from that and we put that in our adverts, make our adverts reach over 3. Humor is big in Uganda. We laugh at our pain, right? If you want to know, just go on TikTok. Just go to any of these social media pages, and you see how Ugandans are such a funny lot. They will make fun out of anything, even when it's painful. They will choose to laugh. That works a lot when we're putting together commercials, and research has shown humor propels the message. People want to, at the end of the day, relax and have a nice laugh. And in doing so, the message penetrates. the pain, the pride of being Ugandan, the pride of being to belong into this community and stuff. Those are some of the levels that we can use. Let's go to the next page. So we did some campaigns back then, and these are just examples of what we did back then that demonstrate some of the points that are put through. We went ahead and did this campaign. We call it, we were targeting border riders, and at the time the brief was very clear. They needed us to have a campaign that will permeate, that border guys will feel like they own that this brand that has been ignoring them, this brand that was speaking through its nose, was finally paying attention. So we came up with this campaign, Wake Up All. And we used a bit of symbolism. The narrative, the concept was like this. Border guys are the ones who run this city. You want to admit it or not, that's on you. But you try and live without a border guy in Kampala. You leave home, you get to office, you remember you've forgotten your laptop. Who do you call? A border guy. I'm sure if we all open our phones, we have a border guy. That guy runs quickly and brings. You're somewhere, you need to rush in a meeting and traffic is, trafficking. What do? You jump on a judge. So these guys are the true bosses of the city. This brand needed to go down and actually acknowledge that. And by doing that, by crafting this message that was, sort of centered around an insight, this campaign delivered. We launched this campaign back in 2020. And I can tell you up to today, we've been recycling it. The other visuals you see are probably the latest ones. Kapota Tia Kulumba. Kapota. I'm not massacring your language, but forgive me. Let's go on to the next. We've had activations, again, experiential, where now we take the experience to the border guys. And I need to say something here. This campaign would have been a promo. We would have started with a promo, and that's where brands go wrong. We focus on short-term gains, and we brief where you can advise a client and say, please, let's do a thematic, let's do a message, a strong message that will penetrate fast before we do a promo. The problem with promos, and there's nothing wrong with them, if that's what you want to do. The problem with starting with a promo, you lose the opportunity to actually seed and create loyal followers, loyal customers. Because what you're going to attract reward seekers. You're going to attract guys who are there because you're giving something. It's like you're creating addicts. Yeah? So we need to quickly change our strategy when it comes to that. Next slide. We did this commercial also for Uganda Warranty back then. Again, insights, culture. You can see the people dressed there like Ugandans. You can see young people representation is there. Yeah? Next slide. If you want to see these adverts, come to our stand. Eh? We also did this other one. This one I'm going to say this. Don't record this. We got in trouble with police on this, but I have to use it. We did this, and the insight was very simple. It's things that happen in Uganda. Things that happen in Uganda. It related. The short period it ran, we got a lot of chatter, and the brand actually gained a lot. Next slide. So second one, we don't research our way into intimacy. We listen our way into it. Research doesn't help you. Listen. Go out, listen. The best campaigns don't shout. The best campaigns echo. There's an example here. You remember the Bosco campaign. That echoes up to now. It reverberates over time. Why? Because it's relevant. It was anchored on true insights. Are Uganda seeing it now? Uganda, we saw it then, still relates. Next slide. Good creative shout. Great creatives feel. So third one, stop making ads, start building bonds. And that's the challenge I'm leaving with you guys here today. So why do so many big budget campaigns again fail? I'm just going to run this quickly because I'm running out of time. They mistake reach for resonance. They talk to people, not with them. They focus on short-term goals and they ignore insight. That's why big campaigns fail. If we prioritize that, we won't fail. Lessons in humility. Emotion isn't a decoration. It's actually the foundation of every creative communication that you're putting out there. Final thought, If you want people to love your brand, don't just sell. Show them you understand them. Find what they feel. Mirror it honestly and respectfully. And move them with the stories that matter. Thank you so much. And bring your business to Juice.
Did you capture it? Send it to me.
Good. Thank you, Jeffrey. Another round of applause for Jeffrey. Daniel Ochen, you were very attentive. I saw you. Very attentive, taking notes at every point, whenever it was 5 pages. 5 pages. You're taking notes. Some 2, 3 takeaways.
Oh my, previous speaker really connected with the theme. Every single ad, every point he made connected with the emotions of the end customer. I felt the pain of the border guy. I felt the pain when the cop stopped that guy, because we have all been stopped by a cop one way or the other, but what is an example? But he connected so deeply with the customer and talked about how deep you should listen and meet the need of the customer for you to win. I think that summarizes the speaker's engagement. And I hope we got nuggets that really would shape how we're going to position our marketing going forward.
Another round of applause for Jeffrey. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, some leaders speak to their teams. Some lead movements. Our next guest leads narratives. She's a visionary who has walked the corridors of power in marketing, media and strategy, reshaping not just how we consume content, but how we connect as a nation. As Managing Director at Nation Media Group Uganda, she doesn't just drive a newsroom. She commands a national dialogue. A chartered marketer, a strategic powerhouse, and a voice that echoes across boardrooms and headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. I say rise. Please rise. Please rise in recognition of one of the most influential voices in Uganda's media and marketing ecosystem, Susan Sirirwa.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Wow, what an intro. Thank you very much, and what an honor as well it is for me to be part of this afternoon's dialogue, thought leadership, as I was listening to Cindy on entertainment, and then this the experiential part. Thank you from Buzz Activate and then Zeus, some great work that you're doing there. And, just looking at media today, and sometimes I feel when I meet people and they ask me, hey Susan, how's the work going? It's always with almost like a frown on their face in terms of how are you actually doing. So it's quite interesting that I can actually get to come and talk about media today, and looking at the role that media and news organizations such as ourselves, what role we can play in this world where emotions are on full display, where brands are out there tagging emotions, looking for that emotional space, missing it with $50 million campaigns. Where do we come in as media? And can we, as news organizations, also say that we must tap into something? Because as it is right now, even as news organizations, with the ever-shifting consumption of media, it's also pertinent for us to tap into these very emotions. And yet we know that it is actually what I call an emotionally, it's emotionally saturated. It's everybody, brands are wearing their emotions on their sleeves. People are wearing their emotions on their sleeves. Presidents are wearing emotions on their sleeves. So, they will stand up and repeatedly call us the bad people. And sometimes you find that because of that, even just the news itself that we put out there, it affects people negatively or positively. And you get to a point where people avoid news because it's wars, it's famine, it's droughts, it's everything that's not going well with the world. And so it gets to a point where people say we avoid the news now because it has an impact on our mental health. So in a case like that, how then do we, as media organizations, as media brands, what space is there for us in an ever-competing world for emotions? How do we do it? So obviously we also have to go back to our why. Why do we exist as media organizations? Why do we exist? Why do our teams come to work every single day? What is the big why? Why do we have journalists and news teams that sacrifice their very lives almost, sometimes in times that are rough? What's our big why? So we also have to tap into our brand essence. We also have to tap into our big why. And for us at Nation Media Group, it goes into our values. Recently, we lost our principal. And when we're looking through the stories, our principal, His Royal Highness the Aga Khan, and looking at why did he start Nation Media Group? What was his motivation? What is it that he wanted to do for audiences around Africa? And so then that allows us, that then becomes our motivating point in terms of, okay, so what does that mean then for our audiences? And so for us, in terms of our corporate values, which look at our audience focus, our consumer focus, what do people want from us as media? What do they want? What do they want? And increasingly, trust is key. Increasingly, in a world of fake news, disinformation, misinformation, where I can stand here and say something, and tomorrow a video will come out with me saying something completely different, and the lip sync is on point. Our consumers expect us as news brands to have integrity at our very core. That what we are publishing, what we are saying, it's been researched, it's true, and and that's what our audiences want, and that's what our audiences love about us. When the question was asked, what does it take to know that your brand is loved? So for us right now, many times when we post things on social media, we see people saying, in Luganda they say mukolera abantu, as in like, you guys work for us. We have become ingrained with our audiences and their expectations of media and what they expect a media organization to do. And so they say, you guys work for us. And that comes many times at a cost. It comes at a price. It's not as simple as, a nice drink. week, our station, our sister station in Kenya, with the riots that were going on, shut down and everything. But the brand love, because it's like, you guys have shut us down, it's against the law, everything, we're still going to report what's happening on the streets. But it always comes at a price. It always comes at a price. But over the years, obviously, we've built this trust through consistent, honest storytelling, being authentic, telling the truth when nobody's willing to tell the truth, holding people accountable, accurate information that people would love to pay for. Many times, if a story has not broken on one of our sites, whether Daily Monitor or MTV, people will say, until they say it, we are not going to believe that it's true. That's what we want to call brand love. That's what we want to call a really strong emotional connection. And when we do get it wrong, we appeal to the emotion of saying we got it wrong. We are also human. That being transparent, being accountable to the public as well, will help media brands such as ourselves stand out. Information. Long run, the beauty with us and the pressure with us, with media brands such as ourselves, is that every single day, videos, some of our video stories, every single day is an opportunity to connect or disconnect. Every single how to make money and etc. Which really just means for us in terms of our content. How then do we make sure that we inform? How do we make sure that we give them perspective on these things? Obviously, in a way where they are. Not in the newspaper because they won't open it, but at their point where they are. So for us, that's a whole mindset shift on the phone, in the format, short reads. We summarize articles now, so you don't actually have to read the long article. There's a summary so that you can just go away with the summary. We've even put audio so you don't even have to read. Just play and listen to the article. So convenience, it's all about convenience. It's all about, but at the same time, us not losing our authenticity. It's about us being able to explain the story in a language that they can understand. Looking at what will distract them, but on our platforms as well. So it becomes a daily learning curve for us in media brands. A daily learning curve. Gone is the day when someone just brings a program, an article, or whatever, and says, "Here, publish." There are so many checks that someone has to go through. There are so many things that somebody has to ask. And it even goes to the point where even just the profile picture of the person who wrote the story also has an impact on whether people will engage with that content or not. Those are things that people never really used to think about. The beauty about it is that we have the information, we know what must be done, and it's no longer just the role of marketing. It's really just all of us understanding that the world has changed, and at the same time, as even media brands have to stay relevant in this emotionally saturated world. Thank you very much.
We need to stay relevant. Before you go, I just want you to stay at the front, Susan. Another round of applause for Susan. We really need to stay relevant. And the reason we have asked you to stay in the front is because we have a small token for you. And I'll invite Graham, our keynote, to come to the front as well. So Susan, thank you so much for the session. It's been amazing. Photographers, are you here? And guys, we need to clap because these speakers have been done wonders. So to the front, the center. I'll have Susan's placard come to the front. And yes. The rest of the speakers, please, you'll be receiving your gifts. And the DJ must do some, give us some details. Thank you so much, Susan. Jeffrey Amani. A round of applause for Jeffrey as he comes. He's really given us. This is heavy. Thanks, Jeffrey, for the nuggets. Laura, next, the king herself. Let's have a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sid Graham. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Next up, we're going to have a panel. This panel is quite exciting because it will be moderated by the one and only JP. I'll just read your profile of JP. To just make sure we familiarize ourselves of the panel that's coming up. JP is the brand strategist, is the brand manager of MTN. You know MTN here in the country, the telecom industry. He has a background in marketing and is really enthusiastic about developing strong, resilient brands. I'll allow JP to come to the front and introduce his brand. So JP, a round of applause for JP.
Some screamer was calling my
Accountability. This is very good. Accountability.
Great. What's up, marketers? Hi, how are you?
Hey.
Listen, should be not on that note.
No, not.
How are you? All right, just to Ian, where's my gift? Give me that exclusive, very limited gift. I would like to give to one marketer. It is a limited edition of creating beloved brands. And it will be autographed and signed by him, and you'll also get an opportunity to take a picture with him. So, is it where to get everybody excited a little bit? Okay, as that comes, the question is simple. Beloved brands. Can anyone just tell us one brand that they believe? It doesn't have to be your brand, by the way. So, Uganda Breweries, you don't have to talk about Uganda Breweries if you're with Uganda Breweries. Just a brand that you believe, just one brand that you believe connects with you emotionally. Okay, you can hear about those. That's it.
Does it work? I think
Three. Okay. Yeah. Where's my book? Get me my book. Okay. So let's give. Tell us your name, what you do, and which brand. Can't picture of it, right?
I mean, like 30 minutes back.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
It's about.
My name is Martha.
And I was ordering. Yeah, 26 okay.
The brand that I associate with and connect with me is Newman's because I like snacking while watching movies. Newman's,
I have coffee.
I like it because the taste of the snacks is consistent.
Why do you like
So every time I'm watching my movies, I make sure I have Gonja 360.
It's consistent.
Yo, Newman, what? Are they in the house? Where are they? Can you guarantee a 1 month supply to? Yeah, right. All right. Over to you. Please come and get your limited edition, exclusively signed with your name and picture. Can we even baptize you, Graham? No, just add Graham to your name. Fantastic. So you will photo moment. Camera. This is a life-changing moment for some people. All right. There you go. Well done. And I hope you read the book and that it really builds. My name is JP. I'm not the brand manager. I work with brand and marketing team at MTN. I handle sponsorships and events. And I will be moderating the panel today. Today it's ballistic. And I will not read any scripts here. I'm just going to, because these people have a legacy that precedes them. And they know
Heineken company, Sitco Group, and now she is, as of when? Just very recently, a couple of weeks ago actually. Saw her somewhere, might have stepped out. Okay, she will, when she comes. Please, somebody see her coming in and we clap. But in the meantime, he is association. Only that, he wears another hat as the managing director
What's my secret?
Yeah, what's the magic? How do you do this thing? How do you keep your hand?
Well, I think, to be honest, it's more about having a lot of children. Yeah, when I think, I've thought about many things.
Yeah.
But it's the truth.
That's the silver
That's the
bullet.
secret.
Guys, it's Friday. Let's go out, make baby,
You know
right?
what to do.
And then we will stay. I hope that works. And lastly, our panelists, all the way from Uganda breweries. It's brands, the brands that we love. Bell. For those of you that coconut, lemon, and all ginger and all the likes, Guinness. I'm telling you today, and it's a Friday. There's no better day to talk about such brands. Please join me in welcoming Catherine, head of the director of innovation and marketing at UBL. Is she in the house? Oh, Gallo, please keep them coming. Keep them coming until she's right here. Guys, you want to clap because there's a cocktail after. Guys, I don't know. Let's be supportive because the drinks could be taken back. Clap one more time. You won't die. Very, very welcome, Catherine. Catherine, are the breweries okay? Our drinks going to come in through the year? Is everything all right? How are you doing?
Yes, everything is all right. We continue to celebrate life every day, everywhere.
Fantastic. There you go. And yeah, this last seat is mine. So it's as if you guys are waiting for another panelist. But yeah, I will take my seat and let's dive in real quick. Now, I don't know, allow me, I want to look at you guys in your faces as I ask this question. So just allow me, Danny, you're not surviving this one. All right, I think just to get us started, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's prudent for us to hear from Juliana first. Juliana, you have been in the marketing trenches so long. You understand what brands are all about. You've seen the as these brands evolve over the years, and you have been at the forefront of some of these brands. Could you share with us just one story, one brand that you believe connects emotionally with you and has actually resulted into loyalty from you? Any insight and just one brand, and then we will that will be our icebreaker, and then we will take it from there. But you also have to tell us, Juliana, why that brand connects.
Right. Thank you, JP. First of all, alluding, I'm the oldest person in the room. Just stop it. I see people here who are older than me.
I can see them too.
And first he said, you look so good. How do you do it? Because you're 100. Juliana, you've been in the trenches. Since 41, you have been selling. What's that? Can you withdraw?
Withdraw.
Anyway, okay. It's true I'm old. I identify so my relatively new team back there, tourism board, first wave. You see, they're all Gen Z, so I had to reach that moment as well. So just coming into this space and thinking about all the different brands, I could call out any from the ones I've worked on directly, but I thought it might be a bit too self-serving. Also, I don't want to do Catherine's work. She must sell her own brands. That said, Diageo, EABL, Uganda Breweries products, I mean, those are some of the biggest brands and portfolios that I've worked on. But I decided to go with one that I think I first saw when I was a teenager, if I'm not lying. Yeah. A brand called Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, I think the time when we were growing up, it was a novelty. We had another soda that time, since this man has called out my age inadvertently. We used to drink pineapple crepes, and that was a soda of the day. You know that. And someone is saying this. See, I told you there's old people here. And drinking Pepsi, Coke, that was a treat. And then when you had the opportunity and you had to pick between brand Pepsi and Coke, obviously now, you have to start thinking which one, which one's better, which one makes you feel a certain way. So there's a certain Christmas when Coca-Cola decided to leverage and start owning, I think, the Christmas holiday and the Christmas opportunity. Back then, of course, we didn't know what they were doing. We just thought, this was just want us to, they created a Christmas song. They're taking advantage of the biggest celebration in the calendar. What's new? But the way they did it, and the consistency across the globe, they went beyond needs and motivations. And as marketeers, and I think Jeff from Zeus said it very well, mostly when you get a brand brief, a brand campaign, you're like, tap into needs and motivations. But thinking about this particular platform here, we're going beyond needs and motivations. Needs and motivations everybody has, according to where you are on Maslow's hierarchy. Those on the bottom rank, you know what your needs are: electricity, water. Then those who are tending towards self-actualization, the Madame Sidiwas of this world, their needs and motivations are different. You can ask, right? However, emotions cut across the scale. Emotions are generic. So what Coca-Cola, for me, in that ad, which I'll mention just now, what they were doing, they were tapping into one of the most raw emotions of human nature. And emotions are like 7, really, if we're going to categorize them: happiness, fear, nostalgia, belonging, and a couple of others. Coca-Cola was tapping into a thing called nostalgia, something that makes you remember dim days, makes you remember all the goodness and happiness that comes with, getting together with your family over Christmas. So the way the ad went, and it was so cleverly done, it actually even started as a whisper. They created a Christmas anthem, but that started as a whisper, such that now you even recognize it by sound. You resonate with it by sound. They touch all senses, which I always say with marketeers. You must touch all the senses. You can't just do sight. You can't do sound. The best ads in the world have done all. Feeling, smell. You can even smell the snow. Those of us who had not seen snow by that time, right? So the ad started as a whisper, and it was dark. So you just start hearing humming. Holidays are coming. Holidays are coming. Holidays are coming. And those days, it wasn't even a holiday thing here. Holidays are for Americans because they start from Thanksgiving till Christmas. So your interest is piqued. Then the trucks start coming through, the lights are off on the Coca-Cola trail of trucks. Then they start lighting up, and then the music itself reaches a crescendo. And all of a sudden, the whole city is lit up with these Coca-Cola trucks lining through the city, driving through the city. They're bringing Coca-Cola to you, they're bringing Christmas to you. And then you make the connection. And then you start feeling that nostalgia. Then you start feeling that happiness. So the frontal lobe of your brain starts being stimulated, because that's where happiness, trust, and some of those things sit. And Coca-Cola then replicated it across the world. Because a lot of times these brands, they do a campaign, it stays there in America, it stays in wherever. They came to Kampala. They branded the whole of Kampala Road. I don't know who was alive by then. Any hands? Susan, you were there.
Romeo was alive.
Laura? She did not raise her hand. And the whole Kampala Road, right from Centenary Park up until City Square, used to be branded with Coca-Cola. And then you resonate. You've seen the ad, you've seen the trail of trucks, now you've seen the experience. And for me, that's one of the most unforgettable memories of Christmas and Coca-Cola. And I think they've replicated that ad. They're still having it. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like Christmas is coming. But and I'd like to jump to you, Romeo. Like, what Juliana has talked about is the emotional side of the campaign. But the reality is soda. I mean, it's soda. So what's the trade-off between, understanding the functionality of a product, and then the emotional, especially this day where we as marketers are always at loggerheads with sales. The sales guys want to go out and sell volumes. It's bottle by bottle. I need this product out. And then the marketers are here judging about, feelings. We are feeling emotional, and we have. So what's the trade-off, Robert?
Thank you very much. So I sit here with a very different narrative. I joined the marketing and advertising industry from a media buying perspective. So for the last couple of years, I have been a student of the billions and millions that my clients here have been spending. And I'd like to draw back to something Graham said in the last couple of interactions we've had. And that's something around thinking investor and not cost center. Because that's something that is drawing marketers back from realizing their full value at the C-suite. And these are conversations we've been having. So I have been privileged to work with a network agency. So we work with the Omnicom group. And 8 years ago, I was privileged to lead a small agency called Partisan Housewell Garden. And these guys, this is a small agency within the group. But boy, oh boy, the things that keep these guys are just incredible. One of them is the AI journey started in 2007. So they have been building databases for clients, over 2,800 case studies, benchmarking studies, on some of the stuff that we're talking about, on functionality versus emotion, on what works, at the New York Stock Exchange versus not publicly traded. So there are lots of studies that we have seen, and we've been privileged to apply some of these studies for our clients. This is what we have seen. Emotional campaigns deliver over 200% on companies that are actually traded globally, because consumers tend to connect better with companies that deliver emotional campaigns. We have found that there's a link between whether a brand is in the startup stage, maturity stage, or growth stage. And depending on where you are, you can actually apply a certain level of functional advertising and what we call function advertising. There should be a link between that. Functional advertising delivers on your ROI or your short-term KPIs. Passion advertising or emotional advertising delivers on your long-term KPIs, which is your brand equity. And striking a balance between these two is very important. So as you're driving your functional benefits, like the price of the product, the content of the product, you need not do away with the passion advertising. And this is what most consumers are very interested in. And that's what builds the brand love and the long-term brand equity.
Many thanks, Romeo. I mean, very interesting conversation around the emotional. And now I get it. I get that, there is a place for functionality, there's a long-term place for emotions. Now, I mean, Daniel, is it possible to even attach emotions to everything? Think about it this way. Salt. you sell salt, ionized salt. But Danny doesn't sell salt. Daniel sells paint. And there's this phrase so one of those phrases in English. It says that it's like watching paint dry. It means that something is so boring. It's like watching paint dry. Now, I am not saying paint is boring, but it's also very high on the spectrum. How are you able, Daniel, be honest, how are you able to attach emotions? How are you doing this currently? And is it really working? Like, let's be honest today. Career limiting question.
First, you introduce all the presidents, then Daniel. Then you say, my product is almost correct. But yes, first off, I want to thank the rest of my team on that table with whom we sell paint. Yes, back to the question. A lot of times we have, and many other marketers in the room will agree, we have products that are very functional. They support that I'm passionate about. Over time, you realize that when you do things like that, then you're able to walk into a stadium and you find a guy who's painted his entire body, and somewhere on his body, he's drawn your logo.
at no cost, he's charging no money, but simply because you are tapping into something that he is passionate about, they will choose your brand. And for me, the team at Tasman, we felt that getting into the minds and the hearts of our customers to appreciate what are their passion points, whether it's football or netball, whether it's education, whether it's improving healthcare, and being involved in things like that. You, my good friend JP, appreciate that the MTN marathon may not bring you revenue, but because they raise money for women that are suffering from fistula, people are going to come in thousands, tens of thousands, to run and be part of that. The Centenary Bank is, yeah, it's a big bank, it's a big good job. But when they say that we're going to partner with Rotary to raise funds for cancer, which is something that many people are very, passionate about. People have gone through or have relatives that have gone through cancer situations, diseases. Then probably someone is going to say, I will choose Centenary Bank because they are passionate about the causes that I'm passionate about.
Very, very well said. I like that you have spoken about how to associate the brand with certain specific passion points that then endear your brand to the hearts of the customers. And that I think yes, Romeo, you want to add something to that?
Thank you. Just to build on my colleague's point, I just wanted to share with us a very simple framework, because what we have seen is an emotional campaign to work for brands in a certain space. So I believe all of you have notebooks. Just draw across. Draw across. So on the y-axis, below the one that is vertical, put the word, under the cross, not interested. Then above it, put interested. Then on the horizontal axis, on the far left, put information. And then on the far right, put associations. Yeah? So I'll start with the first quadrant, which is the lower left quadrant. So if you're communicating to an audience, if you're a new brand, and you're communicating, to an audience that is not interested, they do not know about you. And the first thing you're trying to do is communicate information. So your strategic role there is impacting. You're trying to cut through the clutter of the category. So you'll find that there's a lot of functional communication at this level. Let's go above it. You communicate, you have been around for a little bit. Now you're communicating information about your product or your brand to an interested audience. Now they know about you. What you'll be doing is activating. So your strategy will be activating, getting more people to interact with your brand using channels that deliver high reach. Then let's go to the right. On top, you're communicating as associations now to your brand to an interested audience. So you're trying to build emotion. So the strategic inference here is reinforcing. You're reinforcing associations about your brand, and here you can actually use emotion. Then the last one, which is on your bottom right, you're communicating to an audience. I mean, you have grown and you're an old brand now. We've been around for 50 years. And people are not consuming you anymore. They're no longer interested. And you want to build new associations to your brand, so you can communicate emotionally as well by building. So the last quadrant you put building. You're building new associations. So whatever you do on those quadrants depends on where you are as a brand, the stage that you are on a brand, and this is guided by data. So it's very critical that as a brand, you're measuring the different growth phases of your brand and applying the right kind of strategy, functional or emotional. If you build emotion very early, like someone was saying, some brands launch their campaigns with promotions. I mean, that's one way of killing something very quickly.
Many thanks for that model. Please, as you go back, please look into this, and certainly very. I'd like to get to you, Charity, and I mean, picking up from where Danny talks about associations that they have been able to foster with the community and customers, and this is driving associations for the brand positive, I do believe. But I want you to help us understand a little bit more about what understanding customers is really all about. I'll give you a bond, a car bond, and says, I want to buy an affordable car. Now, affordable is it affordable in terms of cost? Is it affordable in terms of maintenance? But sometimes, unfortunately, they never tell you the real secret needs deep down in their hearts. For example, they're probably buying the car so that they can, look more credible with their peers and all that. So where do brands now have to pivot to really understand? And is this research? Is this insights? Is it listening? How do you go about that?
Thank you. I want to connect Daniel's contribution to Abel's last 70% of customers are making decisions. 70% of consumers make decisions because of an emotional attachment. They will do less of rationale. The thinking of why I should buy this product comes at the last. But how you feel, how you make them remember you, is what's going to inform their purchase. These statistics are by Harvard Review. And for every marketer in the room, we are here to make multiplier effects so that you can make your returns make sense. And you cannot make the multiplier effect based on meeting my functional need. And as banks, we are in a very saturated market in this place. So we're all going to sell deposits, lending, what else do you know about banking, transfer money. Beyond that, for you to choose the FCU bank, we're going further together. What does going further together mean? Guys, hashtag stardom is from deep within. In each person's heart, whether in this room or outside, we all want to get to the next level. Whether it's on a financial capacity, or it is on your social capital capacity, or it's on your family agenda. So each customer has a vision. Each customer has a mission. And as an organization, we have a vision and mission to meet that customer need. Now, we ride on the fact that every one of us has that thing that they want to achieve at a certain point X. Some of us are able to quantify it, others live by it. So at DFC Bank, we go with what does the customer look out for? What does going further together go with? And for us as an organization, we base on data. And I'll just give an example of why we play in the space of women in business and why we play in the space of SMEs. And I'll just a few statistics from Uganda. 80% of Ugandan business GDP is driven by women-led businesses. Out of this 80%, 38% of these businesses are registered. But here is where the trouble comes. We have a gender quality gap leadership, and that gap stands at 1.7 billion annually. which contributes to the male contribution. So where are the women? And some have stand. Women wake up in the morning to earn the dollar for the men to spend. Cultural diversity in our country is a reality. The patriarchy is real. Make the dollar, put it on the table, and let's see how that money works for us. If you want to pick at least, no offense, my sorority brothers, my Cavalier brothers, no offense. Consumer insight is key in making decisions. As part of the bank strategy is listening to the insight ground. I know that we rely on resource reports sometimes. I know that sometimes we rely on the United States digital data, but team, what makes a difference is going to the marketplace and listening and sitting and chatting with the customer. I know that our friends from UBL do this very well. It's important to think beyond traditional research. Traditional research will give you statistics, yes. And part of the things that we do as a bank is going to the marketplace. And our decision to go into this women and business is because we have understood two factors. One, women have low access to collateral, while their need is to grow their businesses through capital. So how are we going to address the issue of collateral? We all know why they don't have a collateral right. The collateral belongs to the man in this country. So what has that made us do? Women are beginning to hide property through their friends. For you to get a bank, you must be the owner of the collateral. So that means that we are leaving out a number of ladies who are giving their assets to their beloved, living out financially. And majority of our ladies, or most of our businesses, are in the informal sector. We all know what the central bank is all about in the informal sector. You have to have registered businesses. Remember, 38% are registered. Where is the balance? If my collateral of the 38% is not in my name, it means I can't get my capital. What does that mean? It means that we have to figure out a plan B, right? The second is that majority of the women are the breadwinners. An empowered woman is an empowered nation. It's important for us to know that this GDP for Uganda to evolve, we must empower the person that is building the family. The family roots cause what our brands here are shining about. If it's creating happiness, who's going to be cooking the meal at home for happiness? When it's going to the shop for your Christmas holiday, who is doing the shopping? The husband will put the cabeza, you will have to do the hustle. So what better way shall we meet the business? We are going to speak to the person that moves from home to the marketplace. How will I know their journey? I know, Romel, you have a lot of statistics on media, but I love to go into taxis and see the number of women that are in a taxi at 3 a.m. What are we looking for? Cheap collateral, cheap products. In a casero at 3 a.m., I will buy a basket of fruit at half the price that you're going to buy from capital shoppers. But because our highest income earner is oil, our statistics show us that majority of Ugandan women are earning Ugandan shillings 150,000. How much can you get from capital shoppers? So what is the customer journey in that space? So part of the decisions that we make is understanding our customer journey. And this understanding means that we're going to listen carefully. Listen to produce, not to produce and listen. Secondly, we must be empathetic. Because of those statistics, we have to remember how we communicate. And in that, we have produced a product called the DFCU Rising Woman in partnership with Nation Media Group. As a business, we understand that we don't have the power that the media has. But we're able to listen more. We're also able to deliver our empathetic decisions and solutions in real time. Part of the issues that we have understood in the financial sector is that the woman is looking for that dollar in real time. And because real time matters, then money laws are important. thanks to MTN for teaching us the lesson right. Now, what better way to deliver this solution? You have partner with a guy that has one. So what is MTN data showing us? So the MTN data informs my next solution that I just launched this morning, the SME mobile money loan. It's important to know what it's going to do for the customer. Access to capital, solving the emergencies that the men are not solving in real time, but also supporting the man to build a bigger base that we are going to promote. That said, it is important to know the impact of your listening. Listen empathetically, create solutions that will drive the uptake from the customer. Customer is king. You must begin with them. Unfortunately, for most of us in this room, we are doing campaigns in the boardroom and deliver, expecting results, expecting emotional connection. You must begin with a customer before you create. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you very much. The importance of using data, but also listening and hearing and feeling what the customer does feel. Catherine, I'd like to, now we understand it's really important. We know that, emotional branding connects to the heart. We've had some examples. We've had some things that have really worked for some brands. We get it, and we'd love to do this, but I'm right here, and I'd like to walk out of this room today with an idea of how to do this. How have you been able to leverage emotional brand marketing at UBL, some of your iconic brands? And how has it rolled out? How easy has it been for you at UBL?
Thanks, JB, for that. And first of all, I think I would like to commend the previous speakers from Cindy to amazing Laura, to Jeff from Zeus, and Susan Abdel. I think they really articulated the fact that emotional campaign is just not selling a product, it's selling a feeling. So this is where you pack aside logic and you start talking to the heart and minds of consumers. And this is an area which is quite tricky, to be honest. So, because for you to be able to connect to the human element, you have to really, first of all, understand the person you're trying to talk to. And from all of us, I think in the areas that we work in, we all have different consumers we go for. And all these consumers are different in all ways, from culture, to age, to what they prefer, to what really makes them tick. So for you to really understand that, you really have to go to where the consumers are to be able to connect with them, because emotion is just not the mind, it's the heart, it's the soul, it's what you take away, it's what you remember after. So at UBL, we have first of all a very wide portfolio, where from spirits to beers, and all of them speak to different people. So you find that there's a way we execute something that is very different from the way we execute some. So I'll give an example of Guinness, for instance. So Guinness, we developed a campaign called Black Shines Brightest, yeah? And this was a global campaign that was actually rolled out globally. And by just saying Black Shines Brightest, what comes to mind as an African person, you're thinking we're talking about us, right? Initially, when the campaign was born, we were actually trying to talk about the liquid. But the fact that it resonated so well with the Africans, because first of all, we feel like we have a platform where we can really say that we can shine bright, we made the campaign just beyond the liquid. And we use that emotive connection to really connect with people. So landing it specifically to Uganda, because this campaign, again, as I said, it was running in Kenya, it was running in West Africa, it was running in Tanzania, everywhere was running the campaign. So how do we ensure that we actually connect with the industry to make sure that people feel it is part and parcel of them? Number one, from localization of assets, and I think you see some of the videos running here. There is no anyone that was from this country. And you see, I think we use a lot of also collaboration in terms of creating the assets.
Only the ones
I think we saw one where that was actually in the studio, and she used the sounds of the bottle opening, the liquid pouring, and she did a whole track out of all those sounds. So it is finding those moments that will actually not just feel in the functional benefit, but that which will tick the consumer's mind, and not just tick, it will tick and stay. So when you're looking at this emotional connection, yeah, there are 5 things to look at. There's something that is called something that is intuitive. So there's what you see and there's what you feel. So what I see is how will it connect with me, right? How will I remember it as I go tomorrow? What will I say about it? Then there's what now is consideration. So I'll see you, I'll say about it. What maybe you consider it tomorrow. First of all, I'll have to remember it, right? The way you say it, how you are, is it in culture? And culture again is different. Is it in culture or is it vibing in the way that I would like to hear or like to see? Then secondly, after remembering, how will I even recommend it to someone else? Because I have to evoke something that gives me pride or that gives me connection, such that I can be able to recommend it to someone else. And then finally, for you to know that you really connect with the consumer in your campaign, emotional connection, if it does not evoke an action, then you're not still done it. And that is how now it has to turn into a purchase. If it is services, it has to turn into increase of traffic, say with the EFCU. You have to see like many people actually coming to the banks and asking for more services, because then it means you really talk to the people. Number one, we are telling them what they need to hear. You're showing them what you can be able to do. You're going beyond the functional benefit, whatever you have to offer, and you're actually showing them why they need the product or why they need the service.
Fantastic. Shortly, we will be beginning our wind down. We will be talking a little bit about measurement of these emotions and really realistic. The marketing manager is presenting a campaign, but the finance director needs results and they need these measures. But before we get into that, allow me just a shout out to Datamine. Datamine could have reached out to us and told us that they are an accredited CIM study center, but no, they didn't do that. They opted to do it a little bit more emotionally and called us all here to learn about emotional marketing and to remind us that they are one of the leading CIM marketing training institutions accredited by CIM. Back to you, Danny, and you are a tutor actually at Datamine. I need you to tell us a little bit more about culture. You talked about 52 also, tribes in Uganda. Do you think that culture in Uganda currently is such a strong emotional aspect? And if so, do you have any other that you have been able to work with in terms of passion points?
Thank you very much, absolutely. And I want to agree that culture isn't just something that's a powerful tool in Uganda. As my colleague was talking about Guinness, I remember an ad done by Guinness probably 12 or 13 years ago, where they had, if I pronounce the word wrongly, please don't laugh, the Sapus from Congo. And these are guys that dress flamboyantly. And these are guys who are working, in minefields, in garages, and so on and so forth. But in the evening, that guy transforms into a fashion icon. Okay? And Guinness taps into that culture. And for all of us here know that the Congolese are some of the most expressive dressers we have. Back to Uganda. Many times, people will say, yes, we need to look at things that our brands can latch on that resonate with our consumers. And culture is one of those. But it goes beyond just our tribes and our affiliations to kingdoms. when Arsenal is playing, okay, when Manchester United is playing, when these teams are playing on our screens, people will stop what they're doing to watch them. But you now also see that to our local football, that when back in the day it used to be Express versus Villa. My good friend Juliana. Yes, I'm one of those old people who used to watch Express versus Villa. But now today you will find that maybe Vipers is going to play KCCA, and there'll be an electrifying atmosphere, whether it's at Lugogo or in Chitende. When you move away from that and you look at recently, MTN did a campaign that took me by surprise, I must say. They partnered with an individual who runs a company that does tattoos. Okay? And that is not part of our culture, quote unquote, as Ugandans. It's not something that we are normally going to jump onto. But you realize that maybe there's a new generation of Ugandans that recognize that, oh, having a tattoo is actually not a sin. It's a way to express yourself.
There were some HIV
And that,
tests from last
so
week's run.
that is, a small subset of our culture, of the culture of the younger demographic. And what I'm trying to drive at is when we look at our brands and our organizations and the things that are available to us as tools to reach out to our consumers, understanding culture beyond wearing the kanzu or the busuti or the chikori. Yes, thank you. That's the word I was the chikori. Thinking about the things that people will not just pay money to be a part of, but dedicate their time, their passion, their energy. And these are things that bring them together as a group. I've seen now that the schools are picking on this trend. When we were younger, it was Sosh, or, okay, some schools call it Kataki, but we had Sosh, social gathering. Today it's called prom, and I'm thinking, when did we start having prom in Uganda? But it's not a culture sort of that has picked up, and it is a trend that as marketers we must be able to appreciate and observe. And when you look at all those examples, you realize that our conversations with our customers, with our consumers, need to be deeper than, oh, so and so is a Muganda, so and so is a Toro. Therefore, if I work with their king, I've already solved that relationship. It needs to go beyond that to understand that certain nuances, certain not intrinsic, but certain critical aspects of that culture are fundamental to that individual. And if you don't address those, if you don't reach out to those, then you're going to be speaking over their heads.
Absolutely. And to Juliana, I just want to pick up on that. Uganda has, and also for so many other brands that sail across the various regions of Uganda, where there are so many cultural differences and nuances like Danny has. You who is in charge of brand Uganda holistically, do you feel like this does apply? The aspect of emotionality, because everybody, the Baganda think their own way. We, the Iteso, we also thinking our own way. The Bachiga, so how are you going to augment or integrate all this to sell brand Uganda emotionally? Will it work?
Thanks again, JP, and all the speakers here. Just listening to you guys talk is already, I think, it's starting to stimulate some of my creative juices. And if you'll allow me, I'll step out of Uganda for a bit
because yes, domestic tourism is a going concern. However, we also have a wider customer or consumer base that is outside of Uganda. So, what we would be dealing with as Brand Uganda, essentially, is over 500 different cultures. And I think where to begin is on the culture aspect of it, is to understand that culture in itself is simply a set of beliefs and values that connect a certain group of people. And once you know that, then you can start to peel the onion. I think the job to be done for Brand Uganda, and it's good that a couple of them are in the room, is to step out of our skins, step out of our Ugandanness for a bit, and start to walk in the shoes of the people that we want to bring into this country. So what are their culture connections? What are their needs and motivations? And you can segment it, obviously, because that's the easier way to go. But you can go one step further, and the era we are living in allows you to do that. So we can move from bunching up everybody that lives in Europe because they live in the Northern Hemisphere. Therefore, their culture is this. And I think Jeff gave a really great example to say, anywhere else in the world, the Kendall Jenner ad might have worked because it looked like maybe it was a peace token, the Pepsi Cola can. But at that time, because the Black Americans were, demonstrating so much pressure, because they were not alive to that particular cultural nuance, they missed it. So we cannot sell Uganda from within Uganda. It's as simple as that. We need to unpack the cultures of the people that we're targeting. Segment, I've said it, but to another extent, because we are able, via digital tools, via AI, we're able to interrogate further and deeper what are the needs and motivations of different parts of the world. The thing that brings Africans to Uganda will never be the thing that will bring North Americans. And we can't assume it is the same thing that will bring Asians. It's impossible. Asians have their own gorillas. Do you understand? So if the only thing that you then shout about is one asset of Uganda, then you might miss them. So I'll just close by saying, again, still in keeping with culture, something that one of the greats said, in keeping with culture and emotion and the work we need to do as marketeers. And by the way, it's strenuous work. We're here sitting, talking, giving lectures like it's easy. It's not. It's strenuous work. It's years and hours and sleepless nights of research. There are parts of Uganda Catherine there has been to that she probably never dreamed she'd be to, because she has to sit on a stool with I don't know which guy is drinking some malwa so that she can pick insights and come back and apply. So I'll close with what Maya Angelou said. She said, people will forget what you said, people will even forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's our job.
Fantastic, fantastic. As we plan to wind down, we will allow for a few questions, but just before we get into the few questions, in the interest of time, we have this monkey in the room, guys. The monkey in the room is measurement. It is something, it's a word that we hate as marketers. It is not one of our favorite words, but every time we're in the boardroom or when the salespeople ask, so what is the tangible contribution of your emotional marketing? And then we start looking up the ceiling. Catherine, are these emotions even measurable? Let's be honest. Are we talking about things we can actually tangibly compute and say this is the contribution? Because we have to speak the language of business, and sometimes emotions are taken. What's the experience?
There's a black one.
Oh, but it's green and
So first of all, true story by the way, about what Juliana said.
talking back about the culture. Like I literally went and sat with locals, and I drank Madua from the stores, and it was a hot liquid. Then I sent to my family group back at home. They were a bit concerned, but it was part of the job to just learn and bring the insight. But coming back to how we measure, so first of all, I think Matthias, you're not for jargons. I can stand here and tell you all why I don't know what all the jargons you think about. But from a personal perspective, I would say measuring the emotive element of a campaign is impossible to be done in isolation. Yeah, so it's a combination of different facets, and I'll describe how. So we say the turning an emotional campaign is turning a product into a feeling. A feeling can be expressed physically. You can feel happy, you can feel angry, you can smile, you can jump, you can dance. But imagine going back to the boardroom and telling now the rest of the system, yes, the campaign made a lot of people smile, or the campaign really made a lot of people dance. You look at the previous joker, right? So measuring the emotive element of it, for me, I think it's a combination of different things. And I'll bucket it into three. One is the commercial element that you have to measure. That is what you get back after the campaign. And this comes in different forms and shapes. It can be your NSV, it can be your volume, it can be your market share. For the people in the service sector, again, it can be risk tracking in terms of whatever it is that you're measuring. Yeah? So all of us have different commercial elements that we're chasing for each and every campaign. So at the end of the campaign, if there's an incremental that comes to it, then there's a tip. And remember, in the earlier days, for an emotional campaign, for you to say that it has worked, it has to evoke an action. An action is that buy, right? An action is that additional consumer you get. The second one is the after the commercial metrics, I would say the second one is the brand metrics. So from a brand perspective, there are many things you can measure. You can measure your brand awareness, you can measure your brand salience, you can measure your brand effectiveness. So for me here, maybe I'll talk more about equity. And equity is a long-term game. So equity, for me, I would say you measure into three things. One is the constitutes of three things. It is the salience, it is the meaningfulness, and it is the distinctivity. And I'll explain how. Salience is actually the money you put to buy people to remember you. So if you really want to know or to create remembrance after the campaign, you have to talk about it. You have to overly shout about it so that people remember you. And it can be as easy as if I asked you how many people can name washing powders that they know. You hear Omo, you hear Ariel, you hear which other one is there? Magic. You hear Magic. So depending on, let's say 10 people say Omo, 5 people say Magic, and 3 people say Ariel. The 10 people will have the highest salience in the room because the 10 are the actual, that is what most remember. So maybe what that means then, you put a lot of money in Omo for you to remember Omo, right? The second thing is distinctivity. Distinctivity is how well you stand out against your competitors. And this can be within category or outside category. And for you to be able to be distinctive, you need to develop your brand because you have to tie it again to how you stand out. So this can be through your logo, this can be through your tagline, this can be through your color, this can be through anything, shape and form, whatever. So how will you remember? Like, let me go back to maybe Juliana's example when she said about let me use Coca-Cola as an example. If I were to lay different bottles here, and I blindfold you, and I tell you, touch the bottle, then tell me which one is Coke. Because of the way Coke has been consistent with their shape of the bottle, it is very easy to know it is Coke without it. So that is how you build distinctivity and embed it into the consumer's mind that even just seeing a color, seeing a shape, or hearing a jingle about it, they'll remember you. Then the other one is now what we call the meaningfulness. Meaningfulness now this is where it is that emotional connection that goes with the heart and mind of the person. And we have a different way we measure meaningfulness. So there's a whole econometrics that goes into that, where you put in the system, how are people proud to be your brand? How often do they talk about it? How often do they recommend it? How often do they in culture, whatever it is? The more you think, the more that you connect. And then the third one now the campaign metrics. So the campaign metrics at the end of the campaign, how people still talk about this? You have the longevity to really really talk about it more, and this can be measured in terms of the KPIs you set for the campaign at the start. You can measure it in the middle, you can measure it at the end. What's the reach? And now the things that we work very well with our partners, especially Summite from there, they have tools that can be able to show us how we are tracking for each and every campaign across the different metrics. Yeah. So saying that you can measure the emotional benefit of a campaign in isolation, I think I would like, but I stand to be corrected. But I think for me it's actually a combination of the three things.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Debbie, just to chip in a little bit there. Catherine is not blessed, but she's lucky to work with brands that are investing significantly in understanding their market and also understanding the impact of their work. It's also very likely that there are some marketers in here whose campaigns or whose brands or whose organizations will not have the luxury of being able to go out into the market and understand, okay, we spent 500 million shillings on, a brand campaign. Has it actually delivered value? Sadly, there's also a possibility that some of the partners that we work with will not give you actual results. They'll give you the results that they think you want. Okay, MTN has spent money. They've contracted us to go and do some research to understand, people actually understand this campaign, or so and so. And they'll come up with a report that says, yeah, awareness is high, engagement was, fairly good. But as JP, you know that the bottom line numbers are not telling the same story. And a very good example is, you and I had a discussion about the jerrycan advert, and one that makes a lot of sense, and you spend some money and gone out there, and people actually don't even know what you're talking about. So what I'm trying to just probably chip in here is that as marketers, we need to be cognizant that many times we will not be able to track that. And besides carrying your finance director to the stadium to show him that, you see, people actually came to this event. Many times I'll ask you, so what's the value that we got out of that? And unfortunately, you will be, unable to provide a sensible report. Just to add some little bit of context to what's going on here, to that question.
Just a quick announcement. If you need help with measurement, the Saladin team is there. They will help you with all these complicated tools, because we do modeling for Diageo. We measure short-term and long-term ROI. We do it like we also do sentiment analysis and a lot of other reports can help marketing.
Yeah, so I want to add something, and I like this submission. So it is true, there are some companies that may not be as privileged as much to have huge budgets to be tracking these things that we're talking about, yeah? But there are some traditional things that you cannot overlook. And these traditional things are actually very effective. Number one is word of mouth. If you walk into a supermarket and you talk to the shelf stocker and the one recommending a brand for you amongst a line of many other brands, that means you're one with time. Right? There's also there's also recommendation. And maybe let me speak for my category. If I walk in the bar, whether people know who I am or not, and I ask the barman, what would you recommend today? And he tells me my brand, I recommend my team because I know they really got it, yeah? Because it means they have really gone into the heart and minds of that guy for him to feel proud to recommend a belt, to recommend Johnny Walker, to recommend a team, or to recommend any other brand I have. So there are those things that we may not be able to measure at this right? Say maybe it's like 20 or 30, but the recommendation, the word of mouth that gets us going, really what you really have to what best time to understand this marketing totality. And that goes into the art of marketing. If you really don't understand what is good, and it's not something that you put in money, no matter how much, that you can get the back money. So for that emotional benefit to come through, you have to be doing something right and doing it consistently. Then that time you start feeling it. So it can be like, yeah,
has been explained. We'll have time for two questions. Just questions. Just two questions. We still have the main presentation coming through, so we don't want to get anything. Two questions, and then just tell us who you're directing the question to, and we'll be.
Everyone in the room. I want to thank the panelists. Most of the faces there, I've seen them on websites and television. It's amazing now to see them face to face. My question is to Ms. and will allow me to read the question. It's about something she hinted on, and she was talking about marketing Uganda out of Uganda. And I'd like to ask if the position that you're in as the head of UTV, how exactly would you describe that to someone like me who was just started climbing the marketing ladder in the whole marketing sector in Uganda in a way that is emotional but also positive emotions, seeing as Uganda has been labeled as so many things. Yes? So how would you describe marketing Uganda out of Uganda in a positive way to sort of erase or overpower these things that Uganda has been labeled as?
Second question, thank you, fantastic question. Question number two, and that will be the last one over there, please.
Thank you. My name is Fiona, very passionate marketer. I'll start off with a quote. In marketing, the decision you make now, you'll either pay for it or it will pay you. So my question goes to Mr. Daniel Kayongo. The brands we seem all to be discussing to create the beloved brand, a product or service. But I will remember to create a purpose within the individuals or the team that is implementing the strategy to create the beloved brand as a product or service. I will remember to make them brands themselves. Because I believe if a team or someone implementing this does not understand their purpose, does not understand the reason as to why they're doing what they're doing to create that product and brand perception, they will not do it right.
Great, many thanks. Good question around purpose. Juliana, over to you.
Thank you, the young gentleman there. Who's just starting out his journey. Really good to meet you, albeit but in a distance. So, Brand Uganda, I think for me is one of those that everyone in this room is passionate about in one way or another, whether or not you're Ugandan. There's just something special about this place. And so when I say market Uganda out of Uganda, remove yourself from just being your atypical Ugandan. First, know our assets. We are proud of them. You live it every day. You almost take it for granted. What the provocation I'm trying to bring to the room is, can we take that experience, that degree of immersion, that feeling, can we export it? That's what I'm trying to say. And I think for the most part, because we're very blessed by nature, we've also we've leveraged that for a bit. Basically our assets, they speak for themselves. 165 lakes, 20 species of primates, 1,000 plus species of birds. In those primates, we have the big ones, the gorillas, we've got the chimpanzees, we've got animals that are even going extinct, the rhinos. Do you understand? So those assets, they speak for themselves, and it makes us at risk almost because we are comfortable with our brand product, with the functional, to use some of the terminology, our functional benefits speak for themselves almost, they scream. So we need to now cross that threshold and start to make people feel what it is to live, to be in Uganda. When you think about Uganda and why you love being here, is it because they are gorillas? At night when they wake you up, what makes you truly a Ugandan is because we are sitting on Lake Victoria, one of the biggest lakes in the world. It is controlling the biosphere of the whole of the Congo Basin. We are bad. No. What makes you proud to be a Ugandan? You can walk out, pick a Rolex at over 5,000 Uganda shillings at 3 a.m. in the morning. That's a very big Rolex. You walk out of here just now, I challenge anybody to ask any borderman, anybody walking the street for directions. If that person does not escort you, then I'm not a fan. It's those nuances. So how do we package and export that? When we go for our exhibitions and the rest of the world, it's one thing to display our wildlife, our Uganda Waraji. We always struggle with Uganda Waraji, by the way. Madam, we need royalties for that. Yeah? It's one thing to just, have pictures of the whitewater rafting and the Murchison Falls. That is, you're stimulating the sense of sight. Great. But how are you making me feel? What are you evoking in me? You're evoking peace. So you mean I can go to a place on earth where there's this number of water bodies, untouched, untapped. Peace, warmth. I can go to a place on earth where there's sunshine, day in, day out, whether you want it or not. I can go to a place where food, the culinary experience is so vast that you've got carbohydrates that some people have never seen. So for me, I think that's the job that needs to be done. We need to start exporting experience, immerse these people in Uganda for as long and as far as we can, and then we'll get to come.
All right, Daniel, last question.
First, I must say, I think we can all agree Juliana is the right person for that job. So she speaks passionately about our country. Yeah, she's actually been around. She's done her homework. Thank you so much. To my colleague at the back there, Fiona, I think it's very, very important. And we had a discussion earlier in the morning. I'm sure it will be part of Graham's presentation later on.
Can you imagine
That
how unfortunate it is?
Johnny builds emotional brand doesn't start from the outside. It starts from within our organization. And we must speak that, walk that journey with all our staff members. I'll give a very good example of a guy, Busi Tembekwai, popular South African motivational speaker, business leader, so on and so forth. And he gave a description of how his organization operates. They say customer care in our organization is paramount. It is something that is entrenched in everyone. So much so that they have a policy that the first employee of the organization that interacts with the visitor, doesn't matter if it's the security guard or the head of finance or someone in the back office.
But if it
If
takes
you're the
long,
first
which
person
usually
to
does,
interact with the visitor, you must greet them, you must offer them a drink, whether it's tea, juice, coffee, whatever. And it's an example of how he goes on to